All right, I'd like to call the December 1st, 2015 Warrenton Board of Aldermen meeting open in session. I'd like to open with a pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next item on the agenda will be the consent agenda.
First item we have is letter A, regular meeting minutes by November 17th, 2015. B, monthly economic development report. C, monthly finance report. D, approval to install 6 barbecue grills at the parks in the amount of $1,098.09. Budgeted amount was $1,100 from the park board. E, approval to install 12 barbecue grills at the parks in the amount of $2,155.76. Budgeted amount was $2,200. F, approval of the project to build a ditch and install a gate into the cemetery from the grounds and maintenance building in the amount of $2,054.70. Budgeted amount was $2,100. And G, approval of Binkley Woods Park Pavilion electric update project in the amount of $1,892.75. Budgeted amount was $3,000.
Before I entertain a motion for the approval of that, is there anybody who would like any item on the consent agenda that will have to be discussed later on in the meeting? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderperson Casterly. If I could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Dreyer is absent. Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with 1 absent. Okay, next item on the agenda would be hearing from the public. If there's anyone in the public who would like to speak, we ask that you keep it to a maximum of 5 minutes. Please come forward to the podium and announce your name. All right, not seeing anyone, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda would be hearing comments from the Board of Aldermen. Anyone? All right. Next item would be hearing from the mayor. I will say that due to inclement weather, I believe it was abundantly clear that we postponed the gobble giveaway, but we are incorporating it into this Friday, and I know that we will be talking about that and speaking about that later on in the agenda, but I would encourage everyone to come out. It sounds like it's going to be a good time. So. Moving on, next item on the agenda would be the approval to accept the fiscal year ending June 2015 audit. Any questions or comments on that?
I brought this up because the board, last time we had the auditor come out and review the audit with us, and my experience is that the board needs to approve the audit formally, to acknowledge that they are accepting the report, and that I don't know if that's been in the past, so I think that's important for us to do. So I'd make a motion that we approve the audit that was presented to the board for 2015.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderperson Casterly. Roll call vote.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with 1 absent. Next item on the agenda would be a request to close Thurman Street from Main Street to Oak Street from 4:30 to 6 p.m. and Main Street from Thurman to Morgan from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on a rolling closure for the hometown Christmas parade on December 4th. I believe we have somebody to come speak on that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Melissa Booth with the Warrenton Downtown Association. We are looking for closure for the Christmas parade on Friday, December 4th. And it is from 4:30 p.m. till 6 p.m., starting at Thurman Street, ending at Morgan Street, down Main Street. And the actual parade begins at 5 p.m.
Okay, any questions?
Just hope it's pretty. Weather.
Yeah. Have we heard anything?
I'm sorry?
I haven't looked at the 5-day forecast. Have we heard anything?
It looks okay so far.
Oh, I like hearing that.
Make a motion, we approve request for a street closure.
Second.
For a dual, or make, or read back that motion, do you have any issues that you see at all?
Nope, all good. We're ready.
Thank you. Okay, motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderperson Holly for the closure for the hometown Christmas parade on December 4th, 2015. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Kesslerlein?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
All right, motion carries 5-0 with one absent.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda will be taking consideration for the holiday of Martin Luther King on January 18, 2016, and applying that to our ordinance, is that correct?
In order for it to be observed, it would have to be
And incorporated
included in
into
our
our
ordinance,
ordinance.
yes.
I'll make a motion that we place an ordinance or have the attorney draw up an ordinance that would make Martin Luther King holiday an official holiday of the city.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderperson Kesslerlein to have it written into ordinance and applied, I guess, so to say. Now, is this something we should make a motion on now, or should we wait till he has it written up? That's my question on this.
They can make a motion on it now, you know, and then.
And it'll apply after you write it up? Okay, thank you.
And the intent of the motion is it's an annual holiday. This isn't just for the 16th. It's for preceding years also.
And carrying throughout, yes. All right, roll call vote, please.
Alderperson Kesslerlein?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with one absent. All right. Next item on the agenda would be information on the minor traffic violation ordinance effect on Senate Bill 5 to the municipal courts. I know there's a bill that's going to be later on in the agenda, but do you want to speak on that now, or do you want to wait till we get to?
I'll speak on it now briefly. As some of you are aware, one of the kind of big pieces of legislation that passed post-Ferguson out of the state legislature was the reform measure to municipal court. That is the Senate Bill 5. I'm sure you guys have heard of it or may not have heard of it, but I kind of detailed it more specifically in the ordinance, so there was a little bit of background of what we're doing. To conform with the recently enacted state law, we essentially have to define certain traffic offenses as minor traffic offenses that don't allow punishment of jail time and don't allow a fine that exceeds $300. We've laid that out, mirroring the state statutory language. In addition to that, we also had to change our section on failure to appear before the court because you can no longer issue an additional charge for failure to appear on a minor traffic violation. So of all the language of Senate Bill 5, these are the only changes that we had to make to our code post Senate Bill 5 because a lot of the stuff is procedural related to cities.
All right. Thank you for the information. Any questions to that?
So, just out of curiosity, so if you fail to appear on minor traffic, then what recourse is there if we can no longer?
If you fail to appear on a minor traffic, you can still have a warrant issued for your arrest.
Okay.
Because a warrant is issued for you to come to court and appear and face the charge. You can't sentence somebody to jail time, as you know, some of the anecdotal stories came out of St. Louis County were happening, where somebody would be pulled over for, say, a driving while suspended ticket. They would then be arrested, held until they could post a $1,000 bond on that driving while suspended, or could come up with some money, and people were being held for weeks at a time on that driving while suspended ticket. Now, we've never done pre-trial bonds on cases ever, even on DWIs. It's just not something we've ever done. So that portion of it didn't really affect us, but we had to redefine our punishment terms. But you couldn't still force them to come to court with a warrant.
Any other questions? All right. Next item on the agenda would be addressing the motor vehicle titling tax ballot issue.
This is the titling tax ballot issue. This is a very, I think, misleading because there's been so much publicity about use taxes. Basically, the Missouri Supreme Court struck down use taxes on sale of out-of-state vehicles. What they basically said is it violated equal protection. You had to charge that use tax on out-of-state sales as well as in-state sales. So the Missouri Municipal League, working with auto dealers, came up with this titling tax, and the state legislature passed this titling tax that basically said, and I'm not even going to bring a Hancock analysis into this, but basically said that every municipality, every county will receive a local sales tax on the titling of a motor vehicle purchased out of state. And we are receiving this titling tax right now, which replaced the use tax, which went away on motor vehicles and outboard motors and whatnot. We're receiving that tax right now. In order to continue to collect that tax by April, basically on the April 2016 ballot, if we want to continue to receive the revenue from that local titling tax, we have to put a question on the ballot. I think it's very misleading, the question, because it says, basically, do you want to continue to collect this tax or not? You know, which I think most people think, well, if I'm going to vote for a tax, I vote yes. But basically, if you're going to vote for the tax, you're going to vote no on the ballot question. We have to decide, number one, if we're going to, it's the state legislature.
You lost us, no.
I understand it's so confusing. I get it. Basically, we got a free tax from the state legislature when they passed this titling tax in lieu of the use tax that a lot of cities had passed. We never put a use tax on the ballot. We never had a use tax. When the state legislature passed SB 182, it automatically gave us a local titling tax. In order to continue to collect the local titling tax, we have to put the question on the ballot, on the April 2016 ballot, whether or not we want to continue collecting the tax.
Can't we word it such that people understand?
No.
Do we have to word it?
We have to word it that way. We have to word it that
You
way.
vote no if you want to continue collecting the tax?
You vote no if you want to continue collecting the tax.
But how do you get people to see we're not collecting it from them?
Well, I
Because
think,
most people are going to see this as,
well,
I don't want to pay any more taxes.
I don't want to guess why they created the ballot language to be confusing, but that may be part of the reason is they
People are
created.
going to vote no.
'Cause
And by
people are gonna vote
voting no,
they're going
we
to
keep
continue
the
the tax.
tax.
So I think, this is something that the Auto Dealers Association of Missouri helped get passed at the state legislature level. I don't think the MML would have been able to get this done. And it's kind of like a fix for the Hancock issue because you're imposing a tax, but yet you're getting it on the ballot. So, you got the tax right away, but then you put it on the ballot by November of 2016. The ballot language is set by statute, and I put it exactly verbatim from the statute so you guys could look at it to see how confusing it is. And I kind of put my notes at the bottom. The other municipalities are going to have the titling tax on the ballot as well if they want to continue to collect it. And I personally think Warren County should probably have it on there, but that's a totally different analysis. I think if we want to continue to collect it, you guys have to decide that, number one, do we want to continue to collect this tax? And if we do want to continue to collect it because the other Warren County municipalities are working on it, are going to have the same issue about the confusing nature of this ballot language, do we work with the other cities to put together an educational campaign of some sort with regards to this titling tax? Because there was a lot of support for a use tax because basically the premise is it's unfair to local dealers. Now this is not a use tax, but it's kind of a similar thing. It's the sale of goods out of state You know, the people going over to Illinois and buying cars and not paying local sales tax. You know, that's basically what forces them to pay this titling tax, local sales tax to us. Anybody following me?
But I think we're all stuck at the fact that either I called it tittling instead of titling, or it's the wording
good
of the
opening.
actual thing. So the humor in it is, can be seen in both ways.
But this is a tax that's collected at the tax bureau when you get your license.
When you,
Money goes to the state, and the state comes back as a
Yes.
pass-through.
if you bought your car at Gasdorf, when you take it to register it, you pay your local sales tax. You buy your car in Illinois, since the use tax was struck down by the Supreme Court, that same car, you're not gonna pay that local sales tax on. So that was the issue is, I mean, you guys remember that when, you know, everybody's going to Illinois to buy their cars because then they don't have to pay a local sales tax. So this is, like I said, Gastorf-Schrump, I would assume, helps support the passage of this legislation and probably wants it because there really is a you know, level playing field issue with it when you're talking about the type of taxes that you could drive 30 miles or, you know, 60 miles and not pay that local sales tax.
So now, under this scenario then, where you purchase the car is a material, because the taxing point is when you license it, so you're.
Exactly.
You know, they're not calling it sales tax, they're calling it a title tax.
That's exactly
But it really
correct.
forces the transaction into the local community where the car is being titled to.
Yep.
It gets rid of the whole use tax issue. So
Yes.
it's really a sales tax, but it's called titling tax.
That's exactly what it is. That's a great analysis of it. Now, I will say, there is still a use tax that is arguably out there, but it's like purchases over the internet. Whether or not there will ever be, I think it would take an act of the federal government to really make that a viable
Right.
tax to collect. And maybe, we've never put that on the ballot, the use tax. But this particular one, and there's been numbers speculated, the county commissioner speculated numbers when they passed the use tax, how much the local government was losing. I don't know what those numbers are. I don't know if we would be able to accurately break those down. But that is the initial question is, are we going to do it? And if we're going to do it, do we want to attempt to try to partner with other municipalities in some type of educational campaign, number one, about the confusing nature of a titling tax, and number two, the ballot language itself, and then maybe even reach out to the local car dealers to see if they're interested, since they helped at the state level, in partnering with us on it as well.
Well, if we do nothing, we lose $63,000, correct?
That's correct.
So
It
we
is.
need to do something, an attempt to put it on the ballot, in my opinion. And yes, we should try to educate the public because we have nothing to lose.
So really, it's a twofold thing, and I don't believe there needs to be a motion made in this area. I just believe we need to be in favor as a board to instruct them to go forward with this.
So you don't need a motion for that, you can do it on consent.
To instruct him to move forward with writing it out. When he gets it written out, then we make the approval for the ballot, correct?
I mean, I just need some direction from you guys if we're gonna have the clerk
And
get it
but it's
prepared for the
twofold.
ballot.
We're gonna carry forward
kind of vote
as
you
far as
want?
our municipality
Roll call.
as well, or are we gonna ask him to stretch out, or reach out to other municipalities?
Well, I think we need to put it on, make a motion to put it on the ballot in April, and then we'll do that ourselves, but then there becomes a bigger question of, do we get together with the other communities and try to educate as a unit? But I think in either case, I think we need to put it on the ballot in April. So I would make a motion that we would.
I'm going to stop you for just a
Yeah, 'cause we
second.
don't need
What's
to.
the advantage to doing it in April versus November?
We have to have it done by
By November.
by November. April would be our only
That's our
election.
own, okay, I didn't know if we could put it on the November one.
And there's some other special election dates, but it wouldn't make sense to
No.
do,
Okay,
you know.
okay.
Before we proceed with the motion, I guess my question is, do we need to wait for your wording and how you've written it up?
No,
before we make
because the
motion?
ballot question's already set by statute.
Right.
So we wouldn't have to wait for the wording on it. I think we could proceed. And then the other question is, I would wonder if, you know, we would want to maybe reach out to Greater Warren County Economic Development or Gasdorf to see their position, because I would imagine that they would support it because it's the level playing field issue. They
So with this motion, we'll just go ahead and carry forward with entertaining motion to approve the city attorney to proceed with the motor vehicle titling tax ballot issue and writing it up.
So Gary made the motion, I would second that.
And I'm gonna vote yes, but I'm gonna vote no when it comes to election.
Wait, vote no on what?
When it comes to time to vote, I'll vote no, but I'll vote yes now.
Motion
for
made by
clarifying.
Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Holly. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Kessley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with 1 absent. All right, next on the agenda would be the municipal court operation analysis.
You had included in your Dropbox the report that you had requested a couple meetings back. And it basically compares municipal court operations from the fiscal year ending June 2009, which was the period prior to the court coming over to the city, to the period that ended June 2015. We broke that into several different components. The first is revenue from fines. There were approximately 1,000 cases that were brought over from the county court starting in October 2009. Some of those with some fairly old dates back to 2004. Collections are significantly increased. If you look at the spreadsheet that was included in your packet, from 2009 to the fiscal year ending June 2010, 2011, 2012, the numbers for the fine revenue from the court are significantly increased over what they were at June 2009. For informational purposes, the first actual court date held at the municipal court was the court for November of 2009. So it's first contained in your fiscal year ending June 2010 would be the first numbers you see reflected for collections by the city. Some things that play into those numbers, collections were increased significantly with the municipal court because the court does not turn uncollected fine payments over to a collections bureau as is done by the county court. If a defendant was ordered to pay a fine by the judge at court and that fine remained unpaid, 30 days later, those cases were turned over to a collection agency for collections. It's our belief, and if you sat through court very many times, you quickly learn that there are very few defendants who come into court and actually pay their entire fine on the day of court, or that even pay the balance of their fine within 30 days after court. It is an ongoing, typically several month process in most cases to get those paid. With turning it over to a collection agency, there really is not much inducement left for the court to be able to collect those unpaid fines. We did not do that process in our municipal court. Those defendants who did not make their fine payment were required to come to the next court date, and those records have maintained active in order to continue to collect those fines until they were collected in full. Also, during the fiscal year 2010 and 11 and a portion of 2012, the city had received a sizable grant, a Rural Communities grant, which actually funded 2 additional officers to our staff. The primary function of those 2 officers was traffic operations, as was deemed by the grant. So we did see an increase in traffic focus over that period of the grant, which did result in increased revenue from fines for the court. The calculation of percentage of court costs and traffic violations income to the total operating revenue, you all know that as the Max Creek law that everyone's aware of, was recently revised to make those calculation requirements somewhat different than they previously had been and to be more restrictive in the most part. 20% is the percentage allowed by the latest revised legislation. Our percentage of calculation is 5%. So 5% of our revenue relates to court costs and traffic violations as defined by this required way of calculating by the Max Creek law. The second area that we looked at was court expense. Court expense is something that you do not get a full picture when you look at the monthly financial statements of the city, because so much of it is an indirect cost. The direct cost is what's paid to the judge, the cost for the court clerk who is directly coded to that department, the supplies that are required by the court, those types of expenses. The indirect expenses are the hours that are provided by staffing from other departments. So the code enforcement officers, as an example, who are in Jack Hamp's department under the building department, they actually serve as the bailiffs for the court on court day. The lieutenant serves as overseer of the court and spends the day in the courtroom working with the court when it's court day. There are officers who transport any of the defendants that are jailed at the time. They bring them over from across the street, accompany them while they're in the courtroom, and then we'll take them back across the street for transport, so that while they're appearing in court, the officers have them in their custody. So there's a number of departments that contribute staff, not additional staff of their budget, but through their regular budgeted time. So I classified those as indirect expenses of the court. Could not operate without them, but they're not additional hours per se that are added because of the court. So you can see the net income line on your spreadsheet. Net income for the fiscal year that ended June 2015 is $222,000 in revenues and net income from the court operation in total. The next area we looked at was actual tickets that contribute to the court revenue. We compared tickets that were issued from the period of 2009, prior to the court being a municipal court, to 2015. In looking at those two fiscal years, there's an increase in the number of tickets of 188 tickets for the year from 2009 to 2015. For the fiscal years ending 2010, 11, and 12, this again is the period where the city employed the two officers that were provided by the grant. There were additional tickets written totaling 1,150 tickets, or if you break that down to equivalent of tickets per shift for those two officers, they wrote 3.1 tickets per shift, additionally on top of what the norm was as those traffic officers. Code enforcement efforts also increased during the period we looked at. In 2010 and 11, we actually brought on staff 2 permanent part-time code enforcement officers who really were dealing with primarily tall weeds and unlicensed vehicles, that sort of thing, solid waste. In 2009, prior to having those dedicated officers, we wrote 20 summons for those tall weeds type of violations. In 2011, the increase was 576 tickets written by those particular types of violations by those code enforcement officers. In comparing the 2009 average tickets per officer per shift to 2015, it was interesting that both those fiscal years reflect 1 ticket per officer per shift. So those numbers have not changed over the course of that period. The highest year in the period from 2009 to 2015 was actually the fiscal year ending 2011. Again, that was a period of time when we had those additional traffic officers. But even at that, the highest average was 1.7 per officer per shift when you averaged it over the entire staff. And these numbers include only the patrol officers. It does not include in that average, for example, the chief or the lieutenant, the detectives, anyone who's not specifically out on the road on a regular basis. In looking at the benefits that the city has seen related to the municipal court operations, one of the difficulties we had prior to bringing the court over was our inability to have an audit trail related to the revenues that we were receiving. We would receive a check each month, and we were unable to obtain any type of documentation related to what cases that involved or how the calculation came about for that. We had some significant issues with our auditors in those years because it was a significant amount of money that we could not account for and could provide no backup documentation for it. So we've seen increased ability now, so that one of the things that came along with actually the state audit is maintaining a numerical list of all the tickets that the PD possesses and tracking how those are processed through the system and where they're ending up. So in numerical order, we can account for every ticket that comes through the city and what happened with it in the end. The ability to ensure active and ongoing collection of assessed fines. And on top of that, the ability to make sure that for those defendants who have no ability to make payments, that they're able to work off their fines and fees through the community service program that we've had in place now for quite some time. It was one of the first things that Judge McDonough did when he came into play, was to put it in place, and that's been a very successful program that we've been able to do. The smaller court allows the ability to develop a more supportive relationship with the local businesses and citizens. When they're victimized by petty crimes, sometimes larger courts, have so many cases and so many, we'll call them more important cases, when to those victims, their case is of primary importance. So there's just more time and ability to give more attention to that in the smaller court. The ability to support the local crime victims and businesses. One of the things that a lot of times the judge will order is, especially if it's a traffic accident and there was no insurance, or something like a stealing, the judge will order restitution be made to the victim of that crime, and with the court being able to monitor to make sure those payments are all made and that the victims actually receive the restitution that's ordered by the judge. Court income assists with offsetting the direct cost of those departments that I mentioned. For example, the police department, yes, they're pulling staff for court day that are regularly scheduled staff that are in their regular budget, but then there is income coming from the court to help offset the general fund to provide the ability to have those staff. So there are benefits to the general fund by virtue of the income from the court. And the ability for officers to get exposed to the court system at a much lower level court. One of the things that they told me is that the training opportunity for an officer who's maybe new to get to come in and testify in a trial in municipal court, where there's a lot, I won't say less pressure, but it's a less formal environment, so that then both the prosecutor and law enforcement, Greg and maybe the lieutenant, have feedback to that officer to help them further develop their abilities related to the court, which in the larger court, not sure that those opportunities are there. It's such a much more intense situation. So those are some of the benefits that we've seen with the municipal court. That's the fast and dirty version of all of this information. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can.
I think when, I believe it was Mr. Durbin came in a couple meetings ago, the implication was that the city is generating more money through the courts and it's a feeding mechanism. But if you look at the basic net income from the court, it was a high at 2011 of $477,000. Now it's down to $222,000. So if the implication is that the board members are asking the police chief to collect more money to generate money for the city's general revenue fund. It's simply not true, because the.
Or we're not asking the right way.
Yeah, or we're failing terribly at what we're asking, because we clearly netting out half what we did 5 years ago. And I think that's where the implication of what was made in the public meeting is totally in error.
I think it's also worth noting, the other thing is that we're writing way too many tickets. And if we go back to before we had a municipal court, the numbers are identical. So that we're clearly not writing more tickets.
I believe the implication was we're writing too many tickets and driving people out of town.
Yeah, we're not writing more tickets. We're not collecting more income. The court's paying for itself. There's a lot of added benefits. I appreciate the time
Yeah.
that went into putting this all together. I wish we could put this out at these places where they have breakfast, so they could have a discussion with real facts instead of, the stuff that they want to make believe to be true. Again, I appreciate it. This is good stuff.
Well, there again, it is public record, and anybody can get a hold of it and see it.
I think
But
another
it was all
interesting.
public record before.
Yeah, but now it's all in one place.
And we were told we were collecting $1 million some
Yeah.
years.
One of
it's
the
like
things
crazy.
too I thought was interesting was the note that of the actual traffic stops, the average time a ticket was given was 58%. I mean, that tells you that our police officers are not out there to give tickets on every single person they pull over. So there's other reasons our police officers are on the street.
And I would be most happy to provide a copy of this report to the newspaper.
I think that would be good.
And I would like to see if you could forward a copy of the report to me on my personal email, because I'd like to forward it to some of my close friends.
And Coffee Parker. Thank you very much for doing this, Terry. I know it's
Thank you for
been
the
a lot of work,
information.
but I think it's very beneficial for everybody to see the facts.
You're very welcome.
Moving on to the next item, the hearing from, again, Director of Operations and Finance Officer Terry Bell.
My item for you this evening is the professional consulting agreement that we had requested from PGAV to reference the feasibility study that we were considering for the proposed new western interchange. I was pleased to see that what they proposed had different tasks listed so that we have the ability to start with a market analysis, and their description of that, I think, was very good. Basically, what it provides is them assessing the demand and the ability for the Warrenton market on the whole to be able to absorb and support retail, hotel, office, and industrial land uses. So their proposal is to start with that part of it to see what our community has the ability to support, and to do that with a separate fee as opposed to the full-blown feasibility study. The next piece of that would be the actual site analysis. They're calling it Task B. That part of the proposal actually looks at the area proposed for the interchange, determines for that area what is suitable for development there, and would make recommendations for what uses would be the best uses for the best financial impact in that area. I think in looking at this, that the first step, the market analysis, really provides us with, I think, what we initially asked them for, which is, is this project going to be of benefit to us financially as a city? And I think that answers the question, the city on the whole, would it support additional development, and what sorts of development can we support? If that step comes back in a positive light, then we could move to Task B, which is the site analysis, which would then answer the question of, okay, so if our city can support this type of development, will this type of development actually happen in this location that you're looking at for an interchange. So I really like the way that they've broken this down so that if task A comes back negative, then we can choose to stop right there. We have the answer to our question. But if it comes back positive, then you can move on through with the other tasks and move the project with the feasibility study forward.
So the breakdown basically saves us around $48,000. If we get an answer on the first one, we can move on to the second one and use
Right.
it rather than just
Exactly.
spending the money we don't need to. Any questions?
Makes sense.
I think it's money well spent, because one thing we've learned from all the work we've done is that there is a significant interest in another interchange. Seems to be two camps. The question is, does the economic piece play into that discussion, or is it also a safety issue? So what this does is takes a very systematically look at the economic side of it, see if that makes sense, and that's why I
Yes.
think this is important, we spend this money.
Is there any other questions, comments on it? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve task A in the amount of $20,000 from the proposal from PGAV for the feasibility study. So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Frederick, seconded by Alderperson Holly. Take a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick,
Yes.
Alderman Holly,
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly.
Yes.
Alderman Ock.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with one absent.
I have several things for you under operational updates. Earlier this evening, we had a work session here, and the purpose of that work session was to discuss problems that we are having and solutions for those problems, to being able to obtain new staff and new hires for the Public Works and Grounds and Maintenance departments. We have, for the last few months, had difficulties getting quality applicants and numbers of applicants to positions for those departments. And in the times where we've been able to actually get qualified applicants and get them hired, we then have experienced people leaving fairly quickly for jobs that are higher paying in the area. So it's become a situation where we have the need to consider making changes that will allow us to be able to attract and keep staff for those very vital positions within those two departments. The board looked at the options that were out there, including what the starting rate might need to be and what considerations might need to be given to existing staff to keep things fair and equitable. And the board chose what we called option A, which basically increases the starting rate for Public Works and Grounds and Maintenance Department full-time staff to a maximum starting rate of $15 per hour after a probationary period. Increases other full-time staff in the Public Works and Grounds and Maintenance Departments whose current rates are below the $15 rate, increases them up to the $15 rate. It does not include permanent part-time staff. Those staff recently received benefits for health insurance and retirement, which were great benefits for them to be able to have access to. It increases staff rates in the Public Works and Grounds and Maintenance Department for those who currently exceed $15 an hour to compensate them for length of service and additional responsibilities that have been taken on by them or merit increases over the last few years, increases those individuals by $2 per hour, and it excludes all supervisory and department head staff in all of these considerations. It also increases the full-time hourly staff in departments other than Public Works and Grounds and Maintenance who are beyond their first anniversary date by $1 per hour. Includes clerical staff, animal control and clerical staff in the police department, staff in the building department, and finance department, all of those staff who are not commissioned staff. It does not include any police department commissioned staff. The annual budget impact of this option A is a total of $104,690, which includes payroll taxes, retirement benefits, all of those associated costs. And the discussion that the board had was to make this change effective with the next upcoming payroll.
Any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the pay rate increase proposal of option A to be implemented on the next payroll period.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderperson Casterly. Get a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Frederick,
Yes.
Alderman Holly,
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly.
Yes.
Alderman Ock,
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with one absent.
And then some other notes for you. Next meeting, I will have proposals for you, hopefully, for the sign that we're trying to locate out on the Veterans Memorial Lot. My intention was to have something this meeting. We did get one proposal back, but I don't think it's a proposal that you are going to be accepting of, so I'd like to get something from some other companies so you have more options. This particular proposal, while the sign is great and beautiful, blocks the view of the Denny's sign from the interstate, and I'm not sure that's something we're interested in doing. So I want to bring you some additional options for your consideration. So that's why you don't have that this meeting. A note for you that the blood drive in memory of former Mayor Jerry Dyer is scheduled for December 22nd at the Elks Lodge from 1 to 6 p.m. You can register and get yourself scheduled for that online at redcrossblood.org, or you can contact the police department and they can assist you with getting scheduled for that. I'd like to ask you to bring your January calendar with you to the next meeting so that we can get a date for our January planning meeting. Last year, we actually did that on Martin Luther King holiday because many people were off, and that may be an option again for this year, but I think you all need to have your calendars here so we can try to get that coordinated. So if you could bring your January calendar with you, maybe we can get that scheduled at the next meeting. And a reminder that December 9th is the PAC meeting. That's the meeting, if you recall, where those individuals who have participated with the PAC committee since its inception, working on our comprehensive plan, you as a board will be joining them along with all the planning and zoning members. So this will be a very important meeting in our master planning process. And it's December 9th here at City Hall. No, it's not at City Hall, is it, Melody?
First
It's
State
at the
Bank in the
bank,
basement.
First State Community Bank. We didn't have room here.
Could
So-
you send out a notice of that via email as a reminder?
We certainly can.
Thank you.
And then the last thing that I have is actually something that I'd like to ask Guy to speak about. We have an issue with the well number 4 motor that just came up.
Well, for July 10th, 2014, we installed a new motor and lowered it. We've been having problems with the well tripping out. We called the local electrician that we deal with. He came in, made sure everything was all tight, and nothing was loose. It continued to trip out. We got a hold of it tripping out on fault, so it's getting a reading that one of the legs is not correct of the power coming in. We got a hold of Ameren. They came out and they put a phase monitor on their system to make sure that what they call the power that's coming in is clean. They have no problem with that part coming in. So I called Flynn Drilling. There's a monitor inside the panel. It's a phase monitor. It'll trip it out if we get a bad fault. They came out and replaced that. It still continued to fault. So I got a hold of Danny Flynn. When they lowered the pump, they had a section of wire onto it. We lowered it 63 feet farther down, and they do a splice there. He's saying that it could be shortened out in that splice. $2,500 for him to come out pull the pump and then check out to see what's going on. If it's any maintenance or anything that he's done that he actually installed and that's the problem, we'll take care of it. If it's the motor, then the motor naturally has a year warranty, so we're in it for 1 year, 5 months. So he will try to go to bat with the pump company to see if he can get some of the warranty taken care of. We won't know anything for sure until we pull the motor
Guy,
out.
which one is pump for? Where's that
That's
located?
right there by
Senior center.
the senior center. So we need to pull it out to see what's going on. Hopefully it's something that wore when maybe when they set it down in there, it drug a wire and it's shortened out. But it runs for about an hour and it trips.
Or the tripping pump?
Any questions?
He said he can be out tomorrow to pull it.
So you need a motion for approval on this?
I don't think we need to, just being aware.
Or motion, okay.
Can I go back on Terry? On the sign by the Denny's, somebody asked a question on the board last time, does the highway department influence or have any control over what we put in that triangle? Did we ever get a resolution to that?
There was, when we met with the gentleman from Ziegler, there was no indication from him that he was concerned about.
Basically, it's what is our property line is all that we are concerned with. And that's so many feet off the interstate, so that was
Okay.
basically it.
I was curious about.
Any questions? All right, next on the agenda would be hearing from Public Works Director, Guy Jeevers.
First item I have is a project of Lakeview Stormwater from 3rd Street to Highway 47. This is to do some stormwater work in that
Which
area.
side of the road you going on?
On the north.
Ward
I'm
2
try-
side?
Yeah, I'm trying to envision, so the water comes off 47 and then heads south? Or is that what we're doing, this water that comes back to 47?
No, it goes.
It's going from 47 heading down.
So will it make what's below even worse?
No, on the north side, we have pipe already there, and we're just extending it and finishing up that project is what we're doing.
Okay.
We're not adding, it's all running that way already. The other side of the road is bad too,
Right.
but the project was started to continue on the north side.
Will this widen the road any when the pipe's in, or is it just?
I'm sorry?
Will it widen the road or elevate the
No,
shoulder?
it will not. It'll be the same.
Okay.
Well, it'll get rid of the ditches and then we'll fill the ditches up and have catch basins in there.
Okay,
It's just gonna match what's down farther up and bring it all the way up to 47.
okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, now. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Lakeview Stormwater Project from 3rd Street to Highway 47, the amount of $11,565.40.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderperson Casterly, seconded by Alderman Frederick. If I can have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes,
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with 1 absent.
Guy, when do you think you're gonna start that?
If the weather turns bad and starts to get colder, then that's where the project we're gonna use to work on.
So this is a bad
Yeah, because we
weather
can work
project.
up the side of the road and it's a good project to have tucked away in case the weather gets bad.
Put some speed bumps down the road too while you're doing it.
The manholes,
Yeah, just put some dead horses.
Oh,
No comment from the chief.
Next item I have, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, next item I have is bid for HD pipe for the project. The budget amount was $9,315.40. Water Sewer Incorporated out of Columbia, Missouri came in at $8,000.
Yeah, there's 1,300 for the pump.
So I'd like to accept the bid for water and sewer out of Columbia, Missouri.
Any questions on that? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bid for the from Water Sewer Incorporated in the amount of $8,000, the low bid.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderperson Kessler, seconded by Alderman Deloy. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Alderperson Kessler?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda will be hearing from Finance Manager Gabrielle Curry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first item I have is the accounts payable for the month. The amount is $284,321.09 that I'd like approval for.
Anybody any questions or comments on this? I'll entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $284,321.09.
So moved.
All right. Motion made by Alderperson Holly, seconded by Alderman Deloy, I believe. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Kessler?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 1 absent.
The next item I have is the utility billing internet module. This would allow utility billing customers the opportunity to go on our website, look at their consumption, look at their bills, and pay. They would have to sign on with an account, and then they would be able to pay their bills like that, and then it would automatically go to our general ledger utility billing upload. So the amount that is budgeted for that is $3,700, and it will come in at $3,440, and it will take approximately 2 months for that to get set up. So I'd like
Is there any
approval to
questions?
move forward with that project.
Any questions on that? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the utility billing internet module project in the amount of $3,440. Is that correct?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Frederick, seconded by Alderperson Holly. If we can have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Kessler?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, 1 absent.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda would be hearing from Economic Development Director, Michelle Smith.
I'd like to request approval to travel out of state for recon again this year.
Part of her probation, she's not allowed to leave the state.
I thought she was supposed to take one of the alternates.
No way, you don't want to do it.
I volunteer.
Any questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the out-of-state travel for Michelle Smith for recon.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderperson Kessler, seconded by Alderman Holly. Take a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Kessler?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with 1 absent.
Take your passport.
Next item on the agenda would be hearing from our city clerk, Melody Rue.
First item I have for you is the next step in the involuntary annexation to the west. There is a resolution later on the agenda to call for a public hearing to put this on the April 2016 ballot, and I believe there's a picture showing what the piece would look like to be
Are we
annexed.
getting closer to where we want to be?
That, if you look at station 124 plus 36.9, that is the middle of the AB overpass. So what this would include is the west half of that AB overpass, and then it encompasses the outer roads. And then
Okay.
it goes down to the other side of the hotel. Do you know what the hotel is? It's like right on the other side, the west side of the hotel is where this would stop.
Okay. And then we'll be done, right?
It's your
Well,
all's
the question
decision.
is, will we ever be done? I mean, I think we learned a lesson, or a prior board learned a lesson we're suffering from now when you don't watch how you're moving down the interstate with annexation, that you can seriously limit development of the future. I mean, everybody agrees that the most logical place to put an interchange on the east side is the Stretch Church Road interchange. But the problem is the city isn't annexed to the road, so it's not even in the city of Warrenton. So what makes this critical is we keep moving down the interstate. We don't know if this is gonna help us this year, next year, but maybe a board 10, 15 years from now will say, I'm glad they did that, and that's why we have to do it.
Yep.
I would agree.
So what do we need to do, Melanie?
Nothing, you have a resolution later on.
Okay, it's a
That'll
pretty
cover it.
picture, thank you.
All right, moving on to bills to ordinance. I'll entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 46-15.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderperson Hawley, seconded by Alderman Deloy.
An ordinance amending section 700.170 of the municipal code of the city of Warrenton, Missouri regarding customer sewer bill, state assessed sewer fee.
I'll entertain a motion for the second reading and passage of bill number 46-15.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderperson Hawley, seconded by Alderperson Casserly for the second reading and passage of bill number 46-15.
An ordinance amending section 700.170 of the municipal code of the city of Warrenton, Missouri regarding customer sewer bill, state assessed sewer fee.
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with one absent. Or, I'm sorry, bill passes. All right, next on my agenda would be entertaining motion for the first reading of bill number 47-15.
Call for the first reading, bill number 4615.
Second.
47-15.
Oh, sorry, 47-15.
Sorry.
That's right, I had the wrong one pulled up.
Motion made by Alderperson Cashley, seconded by Alderman Deloy.
An ordinance amending section 300.010, 100.220, and 135.260 of the municipal code of the city of Warrenton, Missouri relating to municipal court penalties, minor traffic violations, and failure to appear in court.
I'd entertain a motion for the second reading and passage of bill number 47-15.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Frederick, seconded by Alderperson Hawley.
An ordinance amending section 300.010, 100.220, and 135.260 of the municipal code of the city of Warrenton, Missouri relating to municipal court penalties, minor traffic violations, and failure to appear in court.
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with one absent. All right, next on the agenda would be resolution. I'll entertain a motion for the reading and passage of resolution number 314.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderperson Cashley, seconded by Alderman Frederick.
A resolution of the Warrenton Board of Aldermen calling for a public hearing to annex an unincorporated area into the city of Warrenton, Missouri at the western city limits.
Can I have a roll call vote on that, please?
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Frederick?
Yes.
Alderman Holly?
Yes.
Alderperson Casterly?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with one absent. And that brings us to the last item on the agenda, which would be adjournment. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderperson Castley, seconded by Alderman Frederick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are so adjourned.